Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I pray each and every day that each and every one of you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the blessings from the universe. Now, with my opening prayer said, um, I have been noticing a lot here lately, and I try to keep an eye on things as a watchman. And if any of you, and most of you, have listened to any of my videos before, then you know I am a spiritual individual. I'm also a recovering Catholic, if you will. I graduated Tampa Catholic in 1970. I went to Most Holy Redeemer until, I don't know, 66 or something like that. So I grew up in the Catholic religion. And so my journey as a shaman has been from day one of my life and my Mother Mary messages and so forth. And one of the things that I keep trying to explain to people that, well, you must come to church and worship with us. I drive through town. I live down here in South Georgia, and every church has got worship, worship, worship. Now, if you want to get somebody on your side to try to come into the spiritual realm with you, the last thing you need to be doing is saying, hey, worship. Because if somebody is not very religious and you ask them to do something, the first thing that comes to mind with the word worship is Satanism. Why do I have to bow down and kiss anybody's grits in order for me to get to this heaven you talk about? And what's this with the pearly gates? And what's this business with the angels? And what's about the fallen ones and all this other kind of stuff? So if you get a person who's never listened, heard, or otherwise really done much about Christianity, when you start hitting them, come worship with us, that turns a lot of people off. And one of the things I try to explain to, Christians, stop with that right there, please. Why don't you say, come and share with us, come and share in the brotherhood or the sisterhood or the companion, whatever, come join with us and the fellowship, if you will. But to come and worship, people are like, if somebody asks me, the milk cow, hey, how are you? Good morning to you. I'm doing the middle of you don't like the idea of worship, but we have to define worship. I see it as how some religious people believe that we were created to worship, to stroke God's ego, and if we don't, we're punished. And that's my point about this conversation, Milk Cow, in that in the spirituality of shamanism and of what I have seen and experienced in my lifetime, they changed the words in the Bible from adore to worship. And I've done videos about this before, but I think it needs to be re-emphasized. And my Mother Mary side is trying it's 2:30 in the morning here in South Georgia, and I'm doing this video, so that ought to tell you something, that this is an important message. But because there are a lot of people who are trying to go with this worship thing, and it could very well save your soul in that if you understand that there is a difference. Creator wishes to be respected. Mother Earth. I did a video the other day about, the earthquakes in Southern California and things. And is this a warning sign from Mother Nature? Mother Nature and from Gaia, planet Earth, however you want to look at the Earth. And for a shaman and Native American folks and native peoples, not just of America, but native peoples, they look at the earth as a living thing and a living being. So when people say, well, I went out and did a ceremony and I gave an offering of tobacco, or I burned some sage, and you say, well, that's my offering to the Creator, to the Spirit, because I adore what the Creator has done for me and for this planet, and I adore Mother Earth for all the things that she gives us. And I adore the universe for it being there. I adore the spirits and the orbs and things that fly around me. Yeah, not the bad ones, but I'm going to give my adoration to other things, but I'm damn sure not going to worship any of them. None of them. If Jesus came before me right now, I would not worship him, but I would bow in adoration. The same thing with Mother Mary. Mother Mary has appeared to me three separate times. And she knows that I bow in adoration and I do not worship her. There is a huge difference. When we give up our spirit to worship something, the idea of it is to like that you must take yourself out of it in order to worship a deity or an entity or whatever that spiritual thingamajiggy that somebody's trying to hogwash you into or convincing you that this is what you got to do in order to get to heaven. And it's much more simpler than that. Just show respect, honor, respect and honor. And if you follow that one galactic rule that I talk about, do no harm to anything. If we would have respect and honor for each other, a lot of people don't have even any self-respect or honor. There are many people who make a promise and then break it in a heartbeat. Where's the honor in that? So how can you honor the universe? How can you honor your own soul if you're going to break promises left and right? If you're not going to keep what should be your own? And the idea of worship is that I'm not good enough to be next to God. I'm not good enough to go to heaven. I must worship something in order to get there. And Jesus clearly said, do the good things and you will sit with me, with my Father. So it's like, well, wait a minute now. Are you trying to tell me that I'm not good enough? Now, as a Catholic, oh God, we had to do penance, kneel with, on the steps with sackcloth and whip yourself. Listen, Catholics have been through this for a long time. Self-torture and mutilation to please God. Are you serious? And there are a lot of people like that. I used to think that way myself. And I realized that, wait a minute, Mother Mary came to me. She goes, that ain't the ticket. You got to show people that there's another way to this. It is about prayer. It is about your intentions. If you've got good intentions, seriously good intentions, then your prayers will be heard in the cosmos, in the universe, to Creator. I hate the word God, and I don't like to use it with a capital G anymore because it's a false entity that someone else created. The Creator is so much more than God. Creator made God, but hey, I'm not going to go into that. But to the point of adoration versus worship, people who are stuck on the idea that you must worship anything to get into a higher realm is really missing the boat. They're missing the boat because they're going to waste the energy in worshiping an entity that technically doesn't exist. Because it's all about the Bible's God. It's not about the Creator. It's not about the earth. They talk about everything, but, do we respect the earth? No. And, a lot of Christians say, well, God gave us dominion over the earth, so we can dig it up. We can plow it or take oil from it. We can do whatever the hell we want to because God gave us dominion. And I'm like, no, God gave us the right on this earth to take care of it, to tend it as a garden, as a beautiful place. And I'm sorry, but Christians have ruined it. They came to America and slaughtered most of the Native Americans. Same thing down in Mexico and South America. Everywhere they go, they slaughter anybody that is close to the earth. Now, I've thought about this. I was raised a Catholic. I went through all the crusades and all that kind of nonsense. So people try to tell me, oh, well, you don't really know the history. It was shoved down my throat. They tried to shove worship down my throat. Now, I was an altar boy. Every Sunday, I would do at least one, if not two or three different masses. Maybe one as an altar boy, or one is when they turned the altar around and faced the audience. They needed someone that they called a commentator to read the gospel and give directions to to the congregation. And so at the age of 14, I was doing that. And in Most Holy Redeemer Church, which they sold, and I don't even know if it's even there anymore, which is a shame. But anyway, but to the point though, I've been on a religious quest all my life, but this idea of worshiping an entity is absolutely wrong. The word is adore. I went back through some of the Bible. I went back through into the Old Text, and everybody had their own little take on how that should be described. But the word adore is what's supposed to be there, not worship. Come by and let's pray and adore the Creator for all the great things that we've been given, and for the prayers that can be answered if we ask them properly. And not all prayers can be answered. I mean, just quite frankly, just not all prayers. It's not in the cards, so to speak. And we have to accept that. But and I'm going to read your comments here in a minute, but I wanted to keep on with this and get off my little rant here before I check with you. But I do want to read what you got to say, Milk Cow. But in all of this, in the shaman idea of this, when I go to the water, I take peace and respect, and I take my drum or my flute or whatever. And even if I don't have my drum or flute, I at least go and give respect to the area where I'm at. And it's just a simple prayer. Thank you, Creator, for the water. Thank you, Mother Nature. Oh, and somebody might say, oh my God, he's a pagan. He's worshiping the sun or the moon, or he's raised his hands to the sky, to the stars, and said, thank you to the Creator and to the universe. Oh, Lord, have mercy. That guy must be a pagan. And I'm the furthest thing from it, but I'm not a Christian in terms of I'm not going to worship and fall down and glorify. That ain't happening. And the people who want to argue with me about that, I say, go to the last 2 chapters in Revelations and read where the angel comes before John, and John goes down to his knees and to worship the angel, and the angel says, what are you doing? Get up. I am as you are, meaning we are all angels. We are all spirits of the Creator. We are all in this universe together, and people forget that. It's like, well, wait a minute. There's more in Revelations than just doom and gloom in the end of the world. It also means the beginning of the world. But people forget that when John saw the angels told him to get up, that they were like him. So that to me is like, so Christians want to say, well, I don't know, you're supposed to be equal with the angels. The angels said it to John in Revelations. Pay attention to your Bible, please. Folks who want to, criticize me for my opinion, read your own Bible. Go there and seek it. The answers are in there. But the idea, though, that Jesus was like, well, we got to worship the Lord. No, they changed it from adoration. And in the King James Version, it was really changed. In the old Catholic Bibles and the Douay Rheims versions, which is what King James took his version from, which was the Catholic Bible at the time. And people who think they've got the real King James Version should go back to the original King James and find out the current King James isn't anywhere what he wrote either. So they've been changing the Bible around a lot. So you need to get out. People need to get out of this thing that I have to have a Bible to save my soul. I have to worship the Lord, whoever they may term him to be, in order to save my soul. That's just poppycock, because that limits you, because you're gonna fail. You're gonna find shortcomings. There are people who are going to, well, I don't know, you committed a sin over there. Yeah, but I tried to make up for it, and I really asked God for forgiveness, and I really, really mean it, and I tried to, make recompense, and, oh, yeah, but you did it anyway. You can't wipe that off. You're going to hell. Catholics have got venial sins. They got mortal sins. What's a mortal sin? Well, you got to hurt. If I beat somebody up real bad, is that a mortal sin? Well, no, but it's a high venial sin. Oh, get off of it. They've got a chart for what sins are. It's like, getting a traffic violation or something. It is so ridiculously stupid. And it's not God, it's the doctrine of the church. So all these churches have all these doctrines, and they call that religion. It's their doctrine. So if you don't follow their doctrine, then you're not part of their group. A long time ago in the Apostles' Creed, in the true Apostles' Creed, if you're a Catholic, it says that the Roman Catholic Church, the forgiveness of sins and saints and blah blah blah, and life everlasting, amen. And I wouldn't say that part. Every time it got to that line, I was like, I've never believed that the Holy Roman Catholic Church was the only way to get to heaven. My granny died. She was of no religion, but she was one of the most holiest people I've ever met on this planet since I've been here. And my point to that is very simple. The Catholic priest wouldn't help her out just before she died. The local Baptist preacher wouldn't have anything to do with her. Presbyterians wouldn't have anything to do with her. Wouldn't go in and sit down and just pray with her because she was not of their denomination. And I said right then and there, and this has been 30, 40 years ago now, I said, oh, that's a crock of crap. These people call themselves Christians. I mean, I would minister to anybody. I wouldn't care, if they asked for somebody to come and sit with them and pray with them, and I would turn them down because they're not Baptist or oh my God, it'd be like saying, well, I don't know, is he a Democrat or Republican? Well, he's a Republican. Ah, the hell with that. I ain't going, I'm not going to minister to a Republican. I'm a Democrat. This is how things have been, and people's minds have been so segmented. That sounds wrong. Put it into segments and into little cubicles and little cubby thingies and whatever, And heaven is the pearly gates. It's a gated community. And if you've done anything wrong and St. Peter doesn't do your thing, you ain't getting in. Well, I don't want a gated community. The gated community is a box. When I leave this planet, when I leave this 3D dimension, I want to go back to the universe. I want to go to Alpha Centauri. I want to go visit the Pleiades. I want to go visit the rest of the universe. I don't want to get stuck in heaven sitting on a cloud. To me, that's like, oh my God, that's hell. You're going to put me in, it's gold, it's pretty. It's got, angels with harps. That's going to last about a day. And then I'm going to be like bored. You want me to stay here for eternity? Nah. Come on, God. You got some, I'll take a mission. I'm the adventurous type. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here doing this. I don't mean this video per se, but, still here on this planet doing this. But to the idea, though, that, listen, give me another mission. I'll go back. You better be careful what you say. These soul contracts can be a real pain in the ass, so to speak. Okay, fine. But I understand things and shamans who expand their minds to greater things. When we limit this to we must worship an invisible deity. But we're going to draw pictures of him and kind of he sits on a cloud and he looks like an old man with a beard. And who says he's white? He may be Chinese, but, oh my God, I'm a heretic again. But I wear that badge proudly. The idea, though, that there is a single entity, a person or something, is ludicrous. Creator is the energy of the universe. It is all things combined. That's why you and I are a part of this. That's why the angel said to John twice when he appeared to him, listen, you are as I am. We're brothers in this. You are angelic like me, but you just have to realize it. You, because of your training, you had to get down on your hands and knees and worship me. But I'm a spirit. You're a spirit. We both have souls. We're both part of the universe. Oh my God. Does anybody really pay attention to that? All they want to do is look at the doom and gloom in Revelations, when Revelation shows a lot more than that. You can, I don't even go into the Old Testament. What about Daniel? What about this? What about it? What matters is the point when Jesus came to save us from this mess. He tried to save us from the old ways. Yeah, well, okay, there were predictions, and I'm here, and maybe I'm the guy. But listen, I'm here to change it. In every single church, they want you to get baptized. Well, I was baptized a Catholic. Yeah, but if you want to be a Baptist, you got to be baptized again. If you're a Presbyterian, you're going to have to get rebaptized. Why? Christ died for our sins, period. So why are you baptizing me? Well, because you were born as a sinner into the... Wait a minute, I'm a baby. I got a clean soul from heaven. And you got to dump water on me and put salt in my mouth and lemon and do all these hocus pocus rituals because you want me to learn how to worship the doctrine that you call God? Wait a minute. Creator is right here. Right here. Right there around you. It's the quantum reality of things. It's everything and nothing and all of it. And, it's the yin and yang. It's the duality of things. Things can exist in this plane and also exist in this plane at the same time. But this idea that we need to worship anything is old school, old bat crap, cray stuff. We got to wash out of this, because how can we ever expect to achieve a higher spiritual vibration when the vibration of worship itself holds us down? When we can't attain what this God does, we have to worship it and cross our fingers we're going to get there. Cross our fingers that we make this entity happy. Cross our fingers that, the more I look at it, the more I go, oh my gosh, how many years did I put up with this hog mess? How many years did I go to church to worship the Lord? When, if you look at the old translations, like I say, it says to adore. Now, I adore my grandmother. She's passed away many years, but her picture's on the wall back here, underneath the clock kind of thing. It's right behind me. And I, every day, thank you, Grandma, for being the spiritual being that she was, for showing me that because we used to have ESP that was really uncanny back in the day. It would still be uncanny to this day, but to the point, though, that Granny was spiritual in such a way that I understood she didn't worship anything, but I know she went to heaven. I know she went to the other side. I know she made it. She came back and said she was okay. And hey, it ain't about the worship. It is about who you are, what your intentions are. You can sit down and pray and worry and castigate or whatever you do about some person with a sickness or an ailment or a problem or something. But the bottom line is to send positive energy whenever you can, even in the crappiest situations. Granny taught me that. She was one of the few people that came and visited me that year I was in prison. Little old short lady, in her late 60s, hobbles in, they frisk her down, and she came to visit me in prison when all my other relatives refused to come. Granny was there. That's how spiritual, that's how great she was in my eyes, and many other people. But to the point, though, that this idea, she didn't get this worship thing. She goes, well, your mom and dad, they go to church because they feel they have to. And I was like, you're right, Grandma. They're guilty. Guilt is built into this worship business. If you don't go and worship, then you ain't going. You can't belong to their club. You must worship, not adore. Even the Catholics changed it. But you must go worship, because otherwise you can't be in the club. That's a prerequisite. You got to forego all this other stuff. And now you got to get on your bended knee in a sackcloth, and you got to do penance for 7 days. Don't eat nothing, which that's different. Fasting is there's a health part to that. But the idea, though, that you must give up life, you must give up anything that feels good. You can't feel good, because God ain't going to let you in if you feel good all the time. that's just horse shit, because it's based on this. We must worship this higher deity, and that we can't achieve any of it. And because they say, and only by the grace of God will you get there. By the grace of God. Well, wait a minute. We had the grace of the Creator in us when we were born. We have the grace, our soul, of the Creator in us right now. Who took it away from us? Well, but by the grace of God. God has the grace. He has the power. He has the. Would you stop it? Because that God is a false God. The Creator is always there. The energy, the knowledge I always talk about, and I'm not trying to be repetitive, but accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. It's already there, So, and I still read the Bible. I read a lot of different books. I receive inspiration from many different places. And I do research, even though I'll be 67 in a couple of months. The idea, though, that I'm still seeking. Every time I use the name shaman or the word shaman, I also say I am a shaman in training. When I can learn how to walk through that wall, I'm going to say I'm a shaman first class. If I can learn how to levitate for more than, 10 seconds, I'm going to say I've made it through basic training. But even in that respect, I do that with a tongue in cheek, like he. If I want to levitate, I guess I could, but I don't. I just don't really see why it's that important. But the folks who study Buddha, and Buddha didn't want anybody to study him. Buddha was like, look, don't follow me, but people would come because he had achieved a certain enlightenment. And I've achieved a certain amount of enlightenment, but I certainly don't consider myself a Buddha. But in other people's eyes, I have achieved something that they haven't, because I've realized certain things. This worship business has got to go. Adoration, respect, honor, way up there on the list. Like, boom. If you don't have honor, respect, and, then get out of the game. You're just pretending. So when people try to drag Christians into this, well, you're not a Christian if you don't believe this. But I believe in Christ. I've believed in the Christ consciousness. I've done videos on it and I've talked about it in depth, and that I think the Christ consciousness may have been the prophet Daniel. What if the Christ consciousness was the prophets, and Christ was one of those reincarnations of the Christ consciousness? And since then, what about St. Francis? A lot of people don't understand that this fake Pope right now chose his name because this guy from Argentina who claims he's the Pope is a pedophile. And he used the name St. Francis so that he could turn it around in their devil worship under the Vatican weird crap with children and adults too, but more with children. But the idea, though, check out Leo Zagami if you can listen to him and understand. There's stuff that goes on underneath the Vatican that's just, it's horrible. But now, but this isn't about the Vatican. But the idea, though, that the church, the doctrine of the church, has all of these people believing that they must worship something, whatever it is. They got to worship it, not adore it, not give thanks in a nice kind of way. Like, hey, I'm going to take a sacred herb. Now, I've talked about this before. Catholics use a crap load of incense during their ceremonies, especially during Easter and at Christmas too. I used to be the guy that did the swung thing. Boy, I'd put in the coals back, what I call backstage, back behind the altar in the guys' room where you dress up and all. But you put the light these little charcoal briquettes kind of thing, and then you've got the incense that you pour on it, and comes in a granule. It smells really good. I've been addicted to incense for a long time. But the idea, though, that the Catholic Church is one of the most ritualistic religions on the planet. And, when you look at it from in an outside point of view, and I had to think about this, and I went back and I thought, Did Jesus really say, eat this, take of me and eat, for this is my body? Did he really mean that he wanted people to like think that they was eating him? Seriously? Don't you think somebody got that misconstrued? And I mean, it's not just the Catholic, it's the Presbyterians and some of the Episcopalians, they all partake of the bread. Or did he mean that this is the bread of life? Come and sit at the table with me and eat. Let us partake together. That's what I took from it. Did he really mean, I want you to change, transmogrification kind of deal? I want you to magically say a bunch of Latin words that I didn't say, but you guys say in a magic secret part of the Bible that you don't say out loud during Mass. You whisper these secret words and you change this piece of unleavened bread into the body of Jesus and then pass it out for everybody to eat. I'm not a cannibal. And the idea that people are doing this and thinking they're worshiping God, they're cannibals. You got to stop this. Oh, but it's the transmogrification. Jesus didn't say eat this. They changed. This is the bread of life. This is the wine. This is the blood of life. Red wine to help you, blah, blah. But the idea that, oh my God, that we're going to take Jesus, lay him out on the table after we spit roasted him, and we're going to slice him and dice him, and we're going to pass him around for everybody in the church to eat. Duh. Worship. Now, talk about pagans. I think the Catholic Church is one of the most pagan religions out there. Just saying. So this idea of worship, we've got to stop using the word. I've quit using God, the word God, because it means so many things to so many people. But if you use the word creator or source, but creator kind of gets it. The creator of all things, the creator of the universe, not just of this earth or you and me. You and I have been around for a long time. If you will understand spiritualism, I mean, even Jesus spoke about it, along with Confucius and Buddha and some of the Hindu, and Native American traditions. They all speak of the great spirit, the great universal spirit of all things, the creator, not God. Now, what a lot of Christians don't understand, and all the Native American powwows I go to, they always say a Christian prayer, but then they say their Native American prayer, which it includes God in the Christian sense, but their God is just a part of it. Creator created God. Creator created the religion to get to creator through God. Strange thing. But people say, well, they're just a bunch of pagans. They pray to two gods. Yeah, but they're not worshiping. They're giving honor and respect to both. What if there really is a God that created this? They're going to accept that. But they're also accepting the creator of all things, even the God who created this planet or this world or us or you or me or whatever. They understand there's a difference and they respect them both. But would a Christian ever stop and think, well, I don't know, that's a pagan idea. These guys are talking about the creator. Well, that creator, it's the same thing as God. Nope, it's not. It's the same thing they want to say, well, worship, well, it means adore. No, it doesn't. Worship means worship. It means to bow down, to give everything that you have in order for this deity, entity, or whatever. You are to lose yourself when you worship. You give of yourself. But when you adore something, you give your respect. You give your honor. You give your love and your compassion and your positive intent. You don't lay down and, I'm going to this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm thinking of the Catholics and all the sackcloth crap and, whipping yourself with a thing and bleeding. And trust me, I've done some of that way back in the day. And I realized Mother Mary stepped in and she goes, what are you doing? Well, but, I'm worshiping God here. She goes, Jesus don't want you to beat yourself and bleed all over. That's why he died for our sins. He died for you, Hawkeye. He died for you, Dave. He died for your sins. Why are you trying to be Jesus and beat yourself and bleed all over? He already died for your sins. You've already got the thing. What's the deal? You're doing this because of the doctrine of the Catholic Church, the church doctrines that follow this. Well, we must all make penance. If I've wronged somebody, well, just saying, well, I'm sorry. If I could fix it, if I stole from somebody, maybe I go back and give him something. Maybe I go and admit it, or maybe I do. If I don't want to admit it, go to jail. I send them an anonymous check in the mail. I don't know, but you do something to rectify it. If you've harmed someone, done something, cheated, change. If you've cheated somebody in the past and you can't fix that, then give somebody some money just outright for no reason. Well, what are you giving this to me for? I cheated somebody 20 years ago and I feel guilty. And not that this is going to make it better, but here you go. And you don't have to say it, but I mean, in that, pay it forwards. Listen, I've done some raunchy things in my past. I realize it. So I know it's not going to make it right, but I need to I want to put something forward, not to necessarily wipe that debt away. I really screwed up back then, but I'm going to try to help somebody out regardless, because of the honor and because of the respect and my intent. That'll save your soul a whole lot better than going into some church and trying to learn how to worship. That ain't going to work. People ain't going to give up something to the Lord. Well, but he's my Lord. And everybody like, well, wait, and I was talking with somebody the other day, and they reminded me of the joke that I've told. And it's an old joke, but I'm going to tell it again because it is important. There's this, Christian man, Bible in his hand, sitting on the front porch, and the flood comes. And a big truck comes by and says, come on, get on the truck. Your neighborhood's flooding. He goes, nah. God's going to save me. And they're like, okay. So, the water comes up and now it's in his house and the people are floating by in canoes and boats and stuff. And the guy has to climb on his roof. And they're like, come on, get in the boat. We'll take you with it. No, God's going to save me. So he's sitting on the roof and a helicopter comes by and they're yelling down, get in the basket, and he's, no, God's going to save me. So the man drowns. So he gets to the pearly gates and St. Peter's there and he goes, name please. Or, well, my name's John Smith. And how did you die? Well, I died from the flood. And St. Peter goes, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? He says, well, I kept telling all them people that God was going to save me. And St. Peter looks at him and he says, he sent you a big truck. He sent you a boat and he sent you a helicopter. Who do you think God is? So who's going to save us? Is it the doctrine of the church or is it our own spirituality? If we're being, if the church doctrine, churches, not just one, but I mean, some of the Muslim faiths, I think their doctrine is wrong. The message is good, in so many ways. But when they say that everybody else has got to be murdered in the name of Allah, I'm like, I think you got maybe something's a little, maybe he had a little too much wine that day, or I don't know, maybe smoked some hash or something. Not sure, but but the idea though that any quote God that wants to you love the flood story. Blessings to you. Divine living man. I'm gonna get to some of your comments here in a minute. I just noticed that over. Good morning, Kunakote. Kunakote, I think it is. I don't have my glasses on. Good morning to you as well. But I don't want to bust anyone's bubble about their religion, because I know people who still go to church, but in their hearts they have the right reason. They're not worshiping in the sense that, no, they go for the fellowship, they go for the people, maybe they go for the choir and the singing. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, I love a good old Negro spiritual. I know people have condemned me for that, but I've been around a lot of black people down here in the South. And I'm sorry, but They got rhythm and song and dance, and people say, "Oh, you're trying to cut them." Oh no, I'm praising these folks. You talk about get some religion. You go to a black church and hang out a little while, and get one of them preachers to be talking, and get them folks going. Praise Jesus, Amen, and Lord. That listen, them folks have got some spirit in them, but they also, and I gotta say that being grown up and white in the Catholic Church, and then having hung around, you know, uh, old Southern Baptist, they're missionary Baptists because they can't be part of the regular Baptist church. They can be Baptist, but they're missionary Baptist. That means they're black. Did you know that? That's sort of the code around here. But the idea that I've been to several black churches, I've been to several, but anyway, but to the point though, their spirituals and the quality and the singing in their voice, that's, I feel, lifted up into the heavens through the voice of song. But so when I say Negro spiritual, I mean that with the utmost of respect and humbleness. Kudos to them, versus all these church organ thingies and all this. Give me some good old time religion, if as the saying goes down here in the South. Anyway, but to the point about this though, it is the church's doctrine that they want us to worship. It's not the Creator. They say it's the Creator, but what they want you to do is worship the rules they lay down for us. A free thinker like myself is called a heretic. Although I preach about Jesus, although I preach about the Buddha consciousness, although I preach about, the earth consciousness and earth magic, MAJIK is how I spell it, having nothing to do with any other type of hocus pocus magic. Shouldn't have said that word, but anyway. The idea, though, that we are already spiritual beings, and that's one of the things that Jesus and all these other spiritual leaders have tried to tell us over the centuries. We already have the Spirit in us. We must bring it alive. I talk about this parable where the man comes up to Jesus. I think it's James 2 or something like that. I did a video about it about a year ago. And the man comes up and he's listening. He says, I give money to the poor, and I make sure and the man says, but he comes up to Jesus and he says, so but what do I do to be like you? And Jesus says, get rid of all your possessions and come walk with me. And the man was like, what? Well, I already do this stuff. I give to the poor, and I do this, and the man walked away disgruntled. Like, well, wait a minute, haven't I already done enough? And the thing is, no. You want to walk with the Jesus consciousness, the Christ consciousness. You realize you can't take none of this, any of this 3D stuff with us. If what's most important right now is our souls, our spirits, the people in California, the people, there's flooding going on in DC. I'm down here in South Georgia. We've got a lot of rain showers going on. And some places are really, flash flooding. Other places, like here, I've just been getting some sprinkles. But the other day it rained 1.5 inches in like 30 minutes. That's a crap load of rain in just 30 minutes. So and if it rained it any longer, it'd have been 2-3 inches easy. That would have been flash flood conditions for here. So it's like, listen, this rains around at summertime. We got what we got, and the earth is changing and everything's going on. Of all the things we should be interested now is not a new cell phone, but whether or not we got our collective stuff together. Just say it. And of all the things that I've been in touch with higher self, the angel messages, Mother Mary messages, ET messages, all of the above, the same message is coming down right now. Take care of your own soul. Take care of your own spirit. All this worry about all this other stuff is keeping you off track. That doesn't mean you're going to die tomorrow. But the thing is all these other things that distract us from being who we really are, and that is a true spiritual being. That's the most important thing right now. Is survival? Well, I don't know. There are some survival people that could get literally flooded out with torrential rains. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. And well, I prepared for everything. Well, I'm as prepared. I keep saying this. I'm prepared as I possibly could be under the circumstances. Depends on the circumstances. We had 9 inches of rain one time in less than 2 days. The river was literally right here in my backyard. I mean, right in my backyard, not an eighth of a mile back where the channel is, but in my backyard. It was 3/4 of a mile flooded from here to the other side. It a lot of water, and the city of Albany flooded. The Flint River flooded. The Ochlockonee was at the highest. They had closed down bridges, and if you'd see these bridges, I've done pictures of some of these. There's 30 feet up to the bridge, and the water was touching the bridge. Think about how much flood there was. But the idea, can that happen again? Oh, you betcha. But do people still live in some of these areas? Well, it only flooded once. Actually, it flooded on you twice. So you're just going to say, well, it's never going to happen again because it already happened twice. Oh, bananas. You're going to live in a flood zone and then, oh, my house got flooded again. What did you remember back? No. Did God warn you? Maybe you should move to higher ground? Well, and the floodwaters went down and we forgot about it. Rained again, houses flooded. There you go. Here we go, round and round. Anybody paying attention to this? I'm on higher ground. I built a passive solar house. My light bill was $26.50 last month. I haven't checked this month, but I've expected to be around $30. But people say you had a $30 electric bill. Yeah, I got 3 fans that run in my house, a refrigerator, and any of the lights or appliances I need. But the idea that I have to have lights on all the time and they all have to be certain brightness, and I got to have all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. I only turn my hot water heater on when I need it, versus, okay, but I live by myself and I know, but there are people who, they're away from the house for 12 hours a day and their hot water heater stays on all the time. I mean, that's just plumb stupid. They also set it way too high, so they have to mix in more cold water. The water waste, it's just a bunch of nonsense. But a long time ago, I planned on trying to do a better job in my older age because I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford this. So here I am, people, whoa. I planned. I took my dreams that Creator gave me and said, hey, I think there's a better way. So far it's working. I've been here on this property for going on 40 years now. So it's like a good 35 anyway. But the idea, though, that you can't plan ahead or that you're stuck in your situation that's you. If you don't look for a way out, then you'll never get out. And in the old carny business, the old saying was, somebody said, I had this pitch, but I had a lot of pitch lines, come on in and give it a try. If you never try, you never know, and you'll never know until you try. And people would look to me and go, what? And I said, I'll repeat that for you. If you've never tried, you'll never know, and you'll never know until you try. Well, I don't know. That sounds too complicated to me. But have you tried to work it out? Well, no, it just seems too complicated. Have you tried? Well, no, there's this obstacle and that. So you'd rather, look at all the obstacles before you could say, well, maybe there's a positive way out of this. Maybe there's another way. Oh, I don't know. There's obstacles everywhere. And then they give up. Okay, fine. But the idea is that if you listen to the Mother Nature, that's why I did that video the other day about the earthquakes. This is a major event. What it means, not a clue. But for those of us who have been feeling and seeing these earth changes coming in, they're here. Now, does it mean the end of the world? I don't think so. It's the end of an era. It's the end of a bunch of crap. And it's the new beginning. Now, there are those folks out there, they're always talking about the rapture. They're always talking about Jesus is coming in the cloud. And, I say Jesus is probably already in the cloud, which we put in, this live stream goes through the cloud and through the internet. So, but is Jesus in the cloud? Well, he's in the words. The Christ consciousness is there. So is Jesus already here and we're not paying attention? I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. And so, but people are like, I don't know, but does Jesus have to physically come riding in on a cloud? And would you believe that shit if you saw it anyway? And people, well, I don't know, that ain't Jesus. Well, why? Well, because I don't know, because we all expect something. We all expect Jesus to be like this, or Jesus in the cloud and the thing and the rapture and the blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got their own opinion, but I've tried to tell people before, you can go out and sit on the lake and go fishing and just have a good afternoon. And that is rapture because you released your tensions. You've allowed nature to come in. You had a good day. You came home with a big smile, a little bit of a suntan on you. Can't that be a rapturous moment? Well, I don't know. They didn't take my soul at the hit. But what if the doctrine is wrong? What if all these preachers have been preaching the wrong thing because they were taught the wrong doctrine? They're not talking about the Spirit. And a lot of folks are like, well, there's only going to be 144,000 folks go. That's it. The rapture is only going to take so many. What about the rest of us? Well, I don't know. That's what it says in the Bible. Are you sure? Did somebody just put down an arbitrary number? And, but wait, you're not on the list no matter how good you are? Well, I'm sorry. Your name begins with Z. You're a Zollberg. Oh, sorry. We reached 144,000 back in about the M's, the L's, and everybody past L just didn't make it. Too many of you, so you're going to hell or to purgatory. We don't know. We're going to call it purgatory. What? This is insanity. And it's all about whether or not you worship or adore. Whether you accept the universe and the creator of the universe and the source of all these energies, or if you're going to lock yourself down into this one little old channel, you're going to be mighty surprised. And I'm just here to say, let's have the conversation. People who want to, all these earth changes, should we be praying? You betcha. You betcha. Let's pray for a better tomorrow. But the idea that I got to go outside and bow down to a secret entity in space or heaven, and that somehow that's going to help matters. Not in that respect. Not in the idea of worship. I'd be much better off to adore the Creator and send my positive energy out to all beings who are being affected by this, to the planet. Let me send a prayer to the planet. What? Well, yeah, but that ain't God. Yeah, here we go, roundabout and round and round and round again. Back to the doctrine. What feels right to the soul? Does worshiping Mother Earth do any good? No. Does adoring Mother Earth do any good? Oh, you betcha. When you respect Mother Earth, you keep the plastics out. You don't dig shit and put crap in. I mean, wait a minute. Respect and honor. That's what's important. Respect and honor to each other. Respect and honor ourselves. People who make promises and they go, oh, no, I got here. Now it's a little bit too hard. This journey is for myself as a shaman has been one hell of a bitch ass crappy ride. And some of it, I've made it for myself because I thought I had to suffer in order to get there. Now, to the point, though, some of these things, you need to go out in the wilderness sometimes. I've got a niece that traveled out west, and some folks said that, she was chasing a false thing. But in her, she needed to do it. She needed to visit her father's grave. And she went out there, she did things, and she blossomed spiritually. And the only way she could have done it was to have done the soul journey, which ended up being a spiritual journey. But the physical journey was a soul journey, and the combination of the two has enlightened her beyond belief. I'm so proud of her. I didn't know that she was harboring all of these things, but to the point, though, that now that she's in her, mid 40s, and 4 girls, 5 girls, I think. Beautiful family. But as they're all leaving home and so forth, and she gets a divorce, she has to follow her spiritual journey, which takes her on a physical journey. And you got to do the homework. She would have never gotten the spiritual benefit if she just thought about the journey. Sometimes you just have to do it. You got to do the internal work. If you don't respect your own self, if you can't do your own shadow work, then how can you bitch about somebody else's? Well, that person over did wrong. Shame on you. Those without sin cast the first stone. And I dare any of us to pick up a rock, because none of us are perfect. You know, even those of us who try really hard to be as good as possible. I can't pick up a rock. Are you kidding? No way. I would say, what? And if somebody else picked up a rock, I'd go over and stand in front of them and go, you're not being honest with yourself. You're going to throw stones at everybody else. You're going to pick these other people apart. They're stupid. This is a libtard. They're a blah, 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 blah. All these names you're going to banter around and call other people because you don't have a conscious awareness of what's really going on in the galaxy, in the universe. Why does this little argument here matter? It doesn't. Well, it doesn't be right out. Yeah, but what's it going to do when you get to heaven? I don't know. Am I going to heaven? Blah, 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 blah. So all these things that are going on now are distractions for our own spirit. We got to take this into consideration and understand that worship is not the answer. Adoration, respect, what I've already repeated, that is the key for high spirituality and a higher vibration. That's the underlying code of all the religions, and it is the shaman's basic code to life. We are all part of this, brothers and sisters. To the silent 72 plus, cheers. It's more than just what we see. So, with that, a sip of coffee, grab my glasses, and read your comments. Certain points they just wanted me to, and I can't walk and chew bubble gum. Going back up, Milk Cow. And the idea of worship is one reason why I too started doubting religion. The God I was taught of sounded so egotistical. Exactly. And that this energy would just strike me dead because whatever it is I'd done wrong. But I show you all these other people. I mean, I see the priest who pedophiled me, who got away with murder. I mean, because literally I tried to kill myself several times over what happened because of what Catholic priests did to me. So it's like, but wait a minute, did they get their judgment? I suffered all my life through what they did to me. Now, of course, I allowed the suffering. That's my own issue. But the thing is that their religion, wait a minute, hang on. And you want me to believe that, bowing down and worship? Nah, I don't think so. Milk Cow says, I do like a lot of Christianity because the way I grew up was the same decent people who had some common sense. A lot of the time, Christians are talking about the same things I am. I agree with that. And I've got Christian friends, and I don't have a problem with it, except when they start to get into this thing. Well, now, Dave, you didn't give your life to the Lord. And, you're not worshiping the Lord. Well, how do you know? But I ain't going to worship him, but I do adore and I say prayers and I love and my intent and my spirituality. But, well, that don't count because you're not worshiping the Lord. And I'm like, but wait a minute. So I've had this conversation, and not all Christians are like that. But to the point, though, I know Hindus are and some and Buddhist folk, we both have the same relationship with something higher. We just have different names for it. I agree. But see, rather than to use all of their terminology, I'm going to stick with creator. Just because I don't want to get messed up in their religious texts and doctrine. That doesn't go for all religious people, though. Not all of them really understand. Not all truly feel that connection and relationship. The biggest differences I see between myself and most religious people is the belief in reincarnation. Now, see, I knew when I was a little kid that I was reincarnated, but you know, the and in certain ways, the Catholic Church believes in reincarnation. I've talked about that Dominican nun that I spent the summer of 1970, and we had conversations and this and that. She told me about the Vatican and things, and I've talked about that in previous videos. But the basic idea was, she told me, she goes, "Don't become a priest, David. Go study Buddhism, because that's what Jesus did." And that was in 1970. And a lot of people were like, "What? Yeah, Sister Helene told you?" "Yeah." "From Tampa Catholic?" "Yeah." "She told me don't become a priest, study Buddha, because Jesus did." And because there was a core basic understanding of spirituality, not religious doctrine, but spirituality. And the church screwed it up. Getting together to discuss spirituality can be good, but all the other things are secondary. The connection to God is found within and in the beauty of nature, the beauty of everything, not in. Thank you, Milk Cow. Very well put. Um, and one of the things, though, that so much sold, hold your hands out and pray. Creator will bless you. Exactly. Divine living man. Creator is watching you always, teaching you. Just hold out your hands, pray. Creator will bless you. Thank you, divine living man. Milk Cow back says attachments and resistance, the antithesis of enlightenment. Yep, I agree. I agree, divine living man, it is teaching. If you are open enough to listen. Traction. I'm just reading down through the comments. Y'all are right on, in my opinion. Every day I try to be a better person, knowing that you will fail. Try again the next day. A thorn of experience is worth a wild wilderness of warning. A whole wilderness of warning. Quote from, I don't think remember who. It's on Yogi Tea Bags, I think. Don't worry about it, Bill Cow, about writing stuff, because if it shows up in the chat or in part of this other, I think other people need to look at we are the league of like-minded beings. And I have discussed this before, and I continue to discuss it, but I do, because I do think it's important. It's not about the little idiosyncrasies of the doctrine of the church. It's what's the most important thing. The most important thing is the Christ consciousness. Let's do better for each other. It's not all about what we get. It's what we can receive, because what we send out and give to other people, we get it back tenfold in spiritual enlightenment. And because whatever we think we gain on this planet in material things, we cannot take it with us. And I've got stuff here in my house is like, when I die, ain't nobody going to want this crap. I mean, they're going to have a yard sale or something and make a few bucks to bury me, maybe. And somebody's going to look at this place and go, that's Dave's house. I don't know. It's, blah, blah, blah. But, well, what's that? I've got all kinds of knickknacks and things that I've been collecting over the years. And in a way, I'm sort of a hoarder, but getting out of it. But the idea, though, I can't take any of this with me. None of it. So the accumulation of more stuff at my age is like, what? I've already got too much crap I need to try to figure out to get rid of. Hey, somebody come over and they were like, wow, this is really cool. And I'm like, do you like it? Well, yeah. If I gave it to you, would you keep it? Would you, respect it, or never mind? Oh man, I think this is cool. I'd really like to have it. It's yours. What? What do you want for it? Nothing. I want you to take care of it. That's why I asked you. That's all I want. If I took care of this, it's a crystal, it's a thing, it's whatever it is. I gave away a tetrahedron one time, and I've kind of been kicking myself for doing it, but I felt it was necessary. And it's like, I can't take all these rocks and stones and things that I have around my house that I've collected. What I thought I was going to do with them ain't happening. So, but I have them, and it's like, well, but if somebody comes, here's a crystal. I think you need this, and I've handed crystals and and given presents out over the years. I've got many stories about, Doc the flute player and how we've reconnected again after almost 20 years. Been a good 15 years anyway. No, it was 1999 when my pops died down in Tampa. And we still get these connection stories back and forth through people that we know through powwows and flute playing. It's really been an awesome story about Doc and the flute player. But anyway, and the people that we both know and have met. So it's a really cool thing. Anyway, but that's spirit. He played flute for my father who was dying. I brought him a crystal that I searched for at my house that I got out of the North Carolina mountains myself. And I gave it to him as a gift. And that gift has kept us connected over, well, he died, my pops died in 99. So it's been almost 20. This year is 20 years. And so that story lives on. And I think so does Doc. I'm still here. But the idea, though, that you can have an effect on somebody's life over this time span with the simple fact of giving a crystal to someone. Wow, the story begins. And it still isn't over for me and Doc. If I ever get down to Zephyr Hills, I'm going to look his ass up. If I ever get back down to, Tampa, I'm going to go look up Doc, and just shake his hand and just say, hey, let's play flutes together. I don't know, something. Let me buy you coffee, Do you like Dunkin' cookies in your tea? I don't know. But to the idea, though, that the simple things that we do on this planet, on this earth, and especially to release ourselves from our physical bond. I mean, it's like there's a lot of stuff in the house right here. I mean, right off the top of my bat, I don't want to get rid of right at the moment. And I'm not trying to be needy or protective. I'm not dead yet. And I may need this a little later on. Now, that don't mean I know I can't take it with me, but I'm sorry, but some of this stuff I'm not selling right away. But if somebody needed it or whatever, and I got it, and I don't really see them, well, go ahead. Here you go. So earlier on in life, 20 years ago, I was still accumulating stuff. What can I get? Me. It's not going to get me into heaven. Now, regardless of what these earth changes are, somebody put a comment into, I was talking about earth energies, and earth wobble, and so forth. I absolutely do believe that the energies and so forth that are happening right now are more than just physical. I talked about earth wobble in the physical sense, but I absolutely agree that all these energies and all these magnetisms and all these fluctuations are absolutely having something to do with our spirit, our consciousness, our DNA. It's having an effect on the planet, for crying out loud. Why wouldn't it have some kind of effect on you and me? Now, what that shakes out to be in the long run, I'm not sure. But everybody's feeling a change. There are folks who are like, well, I don't know, blah, blah. Well, I don't know. There just feels like there's something in the works. And one of the things that I keep preaching about is that regardless of our differences, we all want this. Most of us want the same thing, at least in our club, in the Christianity club, if you will. But you got to include the Buddhists, because the Buddhists want the same thing. They want peace on the earth. So isn't that what Christians want? Well, yeah. Well, but then aren't they both in the same? No. People are bickering about their religious beliefs. What we need to all agree on is that we're all like-minded beings, regardless of whether or not I'm an alien hybrid or not, and I got blue eyes and somebody else has got brown or green. I don't know. That's not the point. The point of it is that it doesn't matter. It matters what our souls are. People say they want to meet E.T. E.T. ain't going to come and meet your silly ass. Why? Because you've got this concept of what you're still worshiping a secret entity. What? Rather than giving adoration and respect to the universe, you're worshiping something that they claim is a god. Okay. So, and in that is like, well, but you don't fit in this paradigm over here. So how can you talk to ET when that can't be in your paradigm? Well, wait a minute. How are you going to meet a being from outer space or inner space or from another dimension? for those people who are talking about the event, we're going into the fourth dimension. One of the things that I keep telling people, what happens if your dog talks to you or your cat? I mean, talks to you. You hear them, understand them. Are you going to drop your drawers and put a big poo pile in the middle of wherever you're standing? Or are you going to be able to go, oh my God, we're in the fourth dimension. Oh my God, I just heard my plants talk to me. I didn't just feel maybe they talk. No, I heard that tree speak to me. Oh shit. I mean, when you start getting into you understand these other realms, people are going to freak out. Well, I don't know, but plants can't talk. Plants are live. They're growing. They move. They do. Yeah. What about trees? They're connected to the earth. Blah, blah, and everything's connected. Yeah, but I'm a Christian. All I got is the Bible, and Jesus said blah blah blah, and I'm going to worship on Sundays. Wow, such a narrow band. So I'm hoping I continue on with my prayers and good thoughts that we continue to spread this enlightenment without going into a bunch of arguing. You want to believe that? Okie dokie. But I always ask people, listen, if you're going to talk about the spirit, leave God out of it. What? Yes. You want to talk about spirituality. You want to talk about their soul. Well, Jesus said, well, I'm glad that Jesus said that. But what would Jesus, and I've had this conversation with Christians because I want them to be enlightened by their own words. They're not listening to their own words. And I think that's important that we call them out on that and go, wait a minute, you're going to worship God and you're doing this. And yeah. Okay, but when was the last time you did something nice for somebody? Well, what's that got to do with it? Well, but did you listen to the parable? Did you listen to James 2? What do you mean? Well, did the man who wants this and this and that and blah blah blah? Do you prescribe to that, or do you think Jesus was a nutcase? Well, I don't know why you bring it up. Well, no, I want your opinion on that because it's like, well, but do you think you should sell your house and all your belongings so that you can walk with the Lord, or do you think that the Bible says that God grants you that you can manifest and Jesus didn't say you had to be poor. Well, no, but you can't get there like he said in James 2. I think it is. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, I think it's James. I did a video on it anyway. It's in my list thingy. But in that, if you just read that one chapter, it's like, pay attention. He stated it. He told the disciples who were standing right there. He told the rich man who came to him and said, I give to the poor. Would you still have a big house? Well, yeah, we'll sell it. What? I'm not giving up my worldly possessions. Then do you really want to be more spiritually advanced? Do you really want to be a higher vibrations? Because you can't take that house with you, period. Give it to somebody. Share it with somebody. Take a room and say, look, I'm going to give you the house when I'm going to live up here in this. Now, there are some people who have done that just their houses got trashed. They literally got thrown out of their own house at old age kind of thing. That's just really sucks that people are like that these days. But it's happened to me too. I've let people come down here to stay and they turn around and then rip me off for what little that I have, like, wait a minute, if you'd have asked me, I might have gave it to you, but they, that's steal. Anyway, it's a shame. Especially when I've never asked anything anybody. I was like, well, if you're going to run my electric bill up, hand me some money for the air conditioner or for, you're going to eat. Well, then at least go out and work in the garden. You got to return this. This ain't free. I got to work for mine. You got to work for yours. We all have to work together on this. Nobody gets a free ride. And if you think that, well, God's going to take care of you if you just sit still on the side of the bank, well, then you're probably going to rot and become either gator food or, something. Maybe a bobcat will come up and, snack on you. Or the vultures will come when you're dead and they'll take you. and which might not be such a bad idea in the long run, because then your spirit can go up into the heavens. Another issue. But the idea, though, that the population, a lot of the population, believed in these closed-in thoughts. And so, if you're talking to a Christian, stay out of the worship area, stay out of the Lord, Lord, God, God stuff, and just talk about the spirit, talk about the soul. And you say, well, how do you feel about this? Well, and they'll go in. Well, the Bible says, well, fine. Well, what do you feel? Well, I've read whether you've read the Bible or not, but in the conversation with somebody, I say, fine, that's great. Now I want your interpretation of what that means to you. Don't quote the Bible again. Well, the Bible says in James, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. What does that mean to you in your spirit? Do you feel that you're getting, your soul is being spiritually full because you're following some of these things? Well, I don't know, but Jesus said, nah, don't go wavering off over there in the corner, because they're going to try to put their spiritual self in the words of God. But they don't put those words of God or Jesus into actual practice or action. Well, but the Bible said they always revert back to the Bible. But Jesus said in the Bible, okay, fine. But what does that mean to you right now in this real life? Have you helped out anybody? How are you trying to help? Well, I go to church on Sundays and pray for 30 minutes, and the preacher preaches at me, and I give in the collection box. And that's your dedication to spirituality and saving your soul. Well, yeah, that's what it says in the Bible. Is it? I've read it, and that's not what I got out of it. I got this whole spiritual thing about Jesus went out and preached to the masses, to the multitudes in the fields and, along the beach and the seashore and whatever, and he fed them. His miracle was they took a little bit of bread and a few fishes and fed the multitudes. What? That's a miracle. Isn't that manifesting things? Now, what if what happened, Jesus said a prayer and other people brought fishes and loaves, and, secretly or something, or did it just never end? I don't know. But the idea, though, that was a simple prayer, was a simple manifestation. His wish was to feed the people who came to hear him speak. He didn't ask anybody for a dime. When you go to a Christian church, every single one of them wants you to donate. Every single one. Don't care. You go to a tent revival, pass the plate. You go to Episcopal church, pass the plate. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They want your money for your support. Jesus was standing out in the middle of the field and was like, I give you bread and fish, let's all eat. He didn't ask for a dime, but he gave. How many, they talk about that, but then the preacher, when he's through quoting that particular parable, the ushers come and pass the hat for you to put money in for the church, ignoring exactly what Jesus just taught in the parable. So how can some of these Christians, in my humble opinion, see the greater good of spirituality when they're locked into this idea of worship versus adore? Now, I know y'all already agree with me. You put this in here, and I'm running my mouth a little longer than I probably should. But I'm being filled with the Spirit right now. They're saying, hey, let's explain this a little more. There's more to this than just words in the Bible. It's the feeling. It's the message. It's the, But when we talk to people from other religions, regardless, we must stick with the spiritual part. Just spiritualism. Let's knock the words out. No, how do you feel spiritually? Do you feel closer to your God? And don't be condescending. Don't say, well, I think I got a better idea of that. What I try to do is say, listen, here's another opinion. What about this idea? Well, I don't know, but well, maybe Jesus did kind of teach that in the Bible. Did you read this verse over here? Now, I'm literate enough to just be able to say, yeah, but did you read James? Did you read, the Revelations? Did you read this chapter? Did you? Well, I read the Old Testament. I ain't asking you about that. Because if you believe as a Christian that Jesus died for your sins, then why were you baptized? Jesus died for our sins. Why were you baptized? Give me an answer. Go ahead. Because the church said so, not Jesus. And just leave it at that. Don't argue with him. No, leave him with if Jesus died for your sins, why must you get baptized? And just don't argue. Just let him sit there and go, but and just go back. But he died for our sins. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, but he died for our sins. Blah 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 blah. But didn't he die for our sins? Blah 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 blah. They'll come with all kinds of crappy excuses and a lot of Bible quotes and stuff. But the bottom line is this: if he died for our sins, then why do we have to get baptized? Why do we have, they lay a guilt trip on us that we can't get there unless our souls are cleansed. What's the best way to cleanse your soul? To adore the universe, to adore all creation, not just a God's interpretation or adore all life, all beings, even the crappy ones. As much as I hate mosquitoes, I still don't know why I put them down there, but it is what it is. I put up with them too. Everything's got its place. Bats need something to eat, I guess. But the idea, though, that that there's only one way or the highway. If you're not a Christian, you ain't getting to heaven. If you're not involved in this, then your vibration isn't high enough, and Jesus don't love you, and God's condemned you, and any of that kind of stuff. In my realm as a shaman, I will welcome you into my realm, but I don't fit in yours at all, or theirs, I should say, not yours in particular. But in that, though, I'm all about it spiritual. It is about the soul. It is about the soul. Regardless of what all the little trappings in between, it's about our immortal souls. In the Bible, do they say mortal souls? No, it says immortal. So if the soul's immortal, doesn't that mean that we are reincarnated? If it's our immortal soul, then that means we're going to live beyond here. Well, if we're going to live beyond here, in the Catholic Church, you're going to go to heaven, purgatory, or hell. That's the three choices. There isn't another option. Well, can I come back and try it over again? No, but you've got an immortal soul. So I'm going to live in eternity in purgatory? Where's that? Well, we don't know. We kind of made it up, but And in heaven, pearly gates, you know the drill. But to the point, though, that wait a minute, but you just said immortal soul. You said immortal, didn't you? Yeah. Then I must have been somewhere before. Or did God just snap his fingers this time around and my soul was born on this instant? But if that's true, then there's all these souls, quote, that are immortal after they were here on this planet or out there floating around somewhere in heaven, in hell, in purgatory. I would say I'm in another dimension. I'm in space. I'm in another galaxy. I'm in another universe, another dimension. I don't know, but you going to put me in a box for the rest of eternity, which is a long time, and let me sit on a cloud and play the harp? No, I don't want to go to hell, mind you. That's not my point. But if you think that that's what's going to make me happy for eternity, no, I'm an adventurous soul. We all are. That's why we're here. We are here because we're adventurous. We are here to be tested. The test is whether or not we can be a human being that doesn't lose their soul. That's why we're here. It's to enjoy Mother Earth. It's to go fishing. It's to go hiking in the mountains. It's to have loved ones. It's to get together and have fellowship. go bowling. I don't play lawn darts, frisbee in the park. I don't care. Whatever it is, it's the sharing, it's the joining, it's the joy of it. What's wrong with that? But the best things in life are free, unless you're one of the Beatles, and but you can keep it for the birds and bees. Now give me money. That's what I want. Money. That's what I want. Give me money. That's what I want. Ooh, back in the early 60s. But to the point though, that's what people are they sang about that because they were like, that's what everybody wanted them to be money, and they just wanted to play. Of course the money was nice, but the idea though that if that's your goal is just to make money. Now if I made a lot of money, I'd be passing it out to people. I'd be hiring people. I'd be creating some kind of jobs. I don't know what it would be. It might be, here's $50, go mow that person's yard. Well, but do you know them? No, their grass is high. Just go up and knock on the door and say, hi, there's this crazy man who just gave me $50 to mow your lawn. Is that okay? You don't owe me nothing. I'm here to mow your lawn. What? Well, yeah, just no questions asked, doesn't matter. But I got my own lawnmower. I was going, yeah, but I'm here and I'm going to mow it for you just because. Okay. I mean, the simplest things that we can do that go so far. So I know I'm getting long-winded here and repeating myself, but people who think that it's only one way, there is only one way. That's true. That's to raise our vibrations. But there are a lot of ways to get there. And if it's cheating, killing, hurting, beating, drinking, personally, if you're personally abusing yourself, if you're cheating your own self out of a decent life by saying, well, I don't know, God said I can't have a good time, or God said I can't go down and go fishing on the river, or God said blah, blah, blah. Now, if God's telling you to cheat your neighbor and to get all the money that you can, now, if you won it by the lottery or something, I don't know. And if you literally worked for a job, and I know some people who've made a lot of money, and that's because they're like, well, I got an extra 10 grand on that house I sold. And could the people afford it? Well, I don't know. That's not the point. Well, what do you mean it's not the point? Well, you got $3,000 more in commission. But it means a lot, and you already got 15 grand on the commission plus another 3, so you got $18,000 commission on that one house, and you think you slipped it by these people because they didn't check the real market value, and that they actually could have got it for $10,000 cheaper, but you pushed them, you did it, and so didn't you just cheat them? Well, no, that's called business. But could they afford it? Well, I don't know. They got a 35-year mortgage. Yeah, but they're 40 years old. How is that going to work out? Well, I don't know. Blah, 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 but you got their money, didn't you? Well, yeah. So didn't you just cheat them? Well, but that's realty business. Is it? Is it by cheating or running the risk or something? Because you want more commission? That's greed. Why can't you just sell them a house? Oh, I was into the realty business. I used to work on realty houses, and if somebody was selling or whatever, they'd hire me to go in and paint, fix, carpentry work, that kind of thing. So I've worked with several realtors over many years down here in the South, and I would ask them this same question, but aren't you cheating these people? Well, no, that's what the market can bear. Yeah, but can they pay for it when 3 years later the job market trashes and they can't make the payment because you had to get that extra $10,000 or $12,000 off the top when it really wasn't worth what you were wanted for it to begin with? You should have dropped it 10 so they could have got a bargain. You still would have made a good chunk of change. Oh, no, but that's not how it goes. Some of these people that I'm talking about, one lady, she tried to commit suicide several times, and I honestly don't know to this point. She lost everything: houses in Atlanta, houses in South Georgia, a house up in the Carolinas, and a house down on the beach. 4 houses that they all owned, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. But because she was greedy, she lost it all, every single bit, and was homeless and living out of her car. So what does that net you? Is that high spiritual value? When I tried to talk to her about what's really important, she was like, she came to my house and she goes, and I said, so what do you think of my little shack in the woods? And she goes, well, if I had anything to do with it, I would rent the money for a bulldozer and I would bulldoze it over. Now she's lost 4 houses. I'm still living in this one, and my light bill was $26. Who made out better? She was homeless, living under a bridge, and wanted to commit suicide. I haven't heard from her in a couple of years. I would assume she's probably killed herself one way or the other, which is a shame because I really tried to help save this lady. Just from being, depressed, and you've got other choices, but I don't know. I don't want to learn anything else. If I can't get back into reality, then what is there in life? Oh, come on. Anyway. But to the idea, though, that, that it was all about greed. And in the end, all of her greed and everything that she had and wanted and strove for, she ended up homeless under a bridge. And I mean, some of the property she had was literally like worth 650 grand. And that was just the house, not the lot. And, the house up in Sandy Springs or whatever up in Atlanta, it was worth almost $1 million. And the house down on the beach, oh my God, they don't go cheap down there, a little condo thingy. But so the idea is, did it make her happy in the end? Nope. Her happiness was short-term. And in the end of all that personal 3D reality happiness, she couldn't even save her own soul. Her soul wasn't worth anything. Her spirit wasn't worth anything. And there are a lot of people like that right now. I continue to pray. I will continue to pray. And I know that you will continue to share the joy. And those of us, the League of Like-Minded Beings, when you want to connect with somebody else, I'm going to close with this after an hour and a half. It's too long anyway, but I'm feeling the power of the Spirit within me. That is a true statement. But in that, though, what should we concentrate on now with all these changes and earth changes and energies and everything? ET and Spirit saying you gotta not be selfish, but be self-aware. Take care of your own spirit. If you can help somebody, help them. If whatever it is. But it's our own spirit right now. We got to each do our own soul work, or you're going to get some interesting surprises when it comes time. And so it's time for us to quit arguing over the little things. Do you believe do you want peace on the earth? Well, yeah. Do you hope that people don't go hungry? Well, people that work, and didn't ask what they had to do for it. Do you want peace? Yes or no? Not about war or who's in. No. Do you want peace? Do you wish for hunger to go away? Well, yeah, people shouldn't be hungry. Okay, fine. How we get there, it's not the issue. Third thing, do you think that all children and people should be protected from harm, sexually, trafficking? Do you think, slavery? Do you believe in slavery? Well, no. Okay, good. So there's 3 things that we already agree on without discussing religion, without discussing if you're a Democrat or Republican, or whether you believe in space aliens. It doesn't matter. We've just agreed on 3 key things in the universe. Do you think there should be honor to your mother and father or to other people? What do you mean? Well, do you think you should respect other people? And that's how you get respect. When you respect others, that comes back to you. Do you believe in that? Well, but what's that got to do with spirit? I'm just asking you a question. Do you believe in in respecting other people's wishes? And I don't mean the LGBT and doing gay rights. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, do you think that other people should be respected for their personal beliefs? Whether you agree with them or not, that's not my point. Do you respect them? Respect. That's all. Well, there's 4 things. Now, those are universal things. If love, Yeah, do you love everything? Well, them damn Democrats. I'm a Republican, and them damn Democrats are all, okay, well, what about them stupid libtards? Well, what are it about the MAGA fools? Yanny, yanny, yan. Do you want peace? Yes or no? Do you want to cure hunger? Yes or no? Today, there was a big speech with President Trump and talking about EPA and stuff. I got issues with the EPA around here and all the chicken poo, but they're trying to take care of issues. They discussed it. It's out in the open. They're trying to fix Okeechobee, which they screwed up a long time ago down in Florida. And they should have never got in there and messed with it. And I'm not sure this dam's going to fix it, but it will help to filter it out. But it's going to create a problem in another area. Just saying. They kind of know it, but it's still going to help the wildlife south of it. But anyway, they're trying something to stop the fertilizer and all these other types of things, the overgrowth. There's certain plants down in South Florida that didn't used to grow there, and now they're all over the place. I mean, the mangoes in some areas, the mangrove groves that were so thick are in some areas are starting to become extinct. What? Mangrove grows down there is what South Florida and down that is. That's anyway, the estuary, the out of the fish, the clean water, all of the above. So, but do you think any of the Democrats would say, well, Trump's sounds like he's doing a pretty good job with the EPA and they're straightening out. Do you think well, he hasn't done enough? It's only been 2 years. And, we had all these crappy idiots before us, like Obama and some of them. But you want to say that after 2 years, he hasn't done enough. Well, true. He also agrees with that. But to the point, they're all going to argue on this mess. They won't look at the fact that he wants to do better for the environment. He wants us to have cleaner water. He wants the seas and the estuaries and the large lakes that provide all kinds of stuff, not just the wildlife, but it's the water and it's the quality. It's the air around South Florida. And it's the Okefenokee swamp, not Okeechobee, which is South Florida, but the Okefenokee here in South Georgia and North Florida, the headwaters of the Swanee River. They just had a big EPA thing over there where they were dumping toxic chemicals into the headwaters of the Okefenokee, and which ends up being waters for the Swanee River. So Swanee, how I love you, now polluted past, what? So nobody talks about that. But we have issues all the time with these big companies wanting to come in and do all these dirty nasties. No. And Trump wants to stop it? And you're going to argue with him? Well, yeah, but he's Donald Trump. He didn't care about. Stop it. Stop it. Give the guy a half a star. He's trying. That's all. Did you agree you want clean water? Well, yeah. Okay, so you agree with that. Yeah, okay. So is that good that he's taking an interest in it? Well, yeah, but I still don't like it. That's not what I asked you. Do you agree we need clean water? Yes. Do you agree that some of these estuaries and so forth need to be cleaned up? Yes. Okay. Do you agree that that it would be nice to go swim along the beach without needles and stuff washing up on shore? Well, yeah. Well, they've got some of the beaches along the Carolinas and stuff that they have to close because waste. They're hypodermic needles and crap along the beach. What? No, what? That's not counting the algae. Now, I don't know about this. Red tide's been around for a long time. But I got to say the red algae tide blooms have been more pronounced. And he wants to study $100 million. That ain't nothing. If it means that they're going to go out with boats and take the algae out, I lived in Tampa, grew up there, and we had an algae bloom about 1972. It wiped out damn near every fish in Tampa Bay. And how do I know this? Because I had been thrown in jail for 30 days, and I was working as a trustee, picking up the tons of dead fish with shovels and rakes, and you talk about a mess. Stink, oh my God. And there were fish that had washed up on shore. They were using bulldozers to dump these dead fish from the red tide. So am I on, can we spend money to figure out how we can keep these occurrences down? Absolutely. Are we just going to waste it and give it to a few politicians? I hope not. Let's spread that money around and hire all these oceanographers and all these people who've got marine biology. Let's try to, if I don't think we can stop the problem, but we might be able to curb it. We might be able to find a natural solution to some of this thing. So you're going to argue with the man about that? Mamby-pamby. He wants to fix the problem. He wants to put money towards it, which means jobs. He wants to help. Isn't that the same thing about spirit? Aren't we mamby-pamby about how we're going to get there? Do you agree? And do you agree? The rest of it, we need to sit down and talk about. And have a discussion and not scream at each other across the table. Because if we believe in these basic points, then we are beings. We are a part of the League of Like-Minded Beings. We are already by that statement, by those statements. My friends, my lovelies, I say that in highest respect to you all. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here. I had a Mother Mary message that said, get on here and do this. You have a story about crystals, Milk Cow. I had a dream that I was at some woman's house in the woods by a stream. Beautiful place. We talked, and eventually we ended up in the kitchen. She had a shelf of crystals. She told me each crystal corresponds to each letter of the alphabet. She said she'd teach me about it, and based on my name or my initials, what the crystals I am linked to say about me. However, I never did get to finish that dream. That's where it ended. Work on the shelf because you can't make the world change, only yourself. That is very true, Milk Cow. But let me put out this. When my Mother Mary message started a couple of years ago that I needed to start doing this live stream and chat about these things, she warned me, you're going to be called a heretic by some of the things that I'm going to ask you to talk about, because it's important that we be spiritual and not religious. That's the difference here. And so I had to have faith in what I saw, what she showed me. And in so many ways, I am changing the world by myself because I'm having conversations with y'all. Now, am I making these huge changes? Doesn't matter. For every one of you that we join up as members of this the League of Like-Minded Beings, we are changing the planet. We're changing the entire perception of the planet. God's listening. The Creator can hear it. Mother Earth can feel it. There is a change right now. In so many ways, we are in the event, if you want to talk about the big event, because people are becoming aware of these basic things that they all agree on. Oh my God, everything else is mamby-pamby. I don't want people to go hungry. I don't want people to get, murdered, killed, and whatever, but it ain't got nothing to do with guns. It has, you can murder somebody with a brick. You can take a baseball bat and kill the hell out of somebody. But you want to, everything is about guns. Well, let's work on, why do people want to murder each other? Can we have that conversation? Well, yeah, but it's all the guns. No, it ain't. The gun can, I got a 22 pellet rifle and it sits over there, but it doesn't kill anything until I pump it up and pull the trigger. None of it works without a person. Guns don't fire themselves. So it's like, but let's talk about why people want to murder each other. Well, I don't know, but it's the guns problem. No, it's not. The problem is with people wanting to murder each other. Why do they want to murder each other? Can we have that discussion? Yeah, but it's all about guns and blah, blah. Nah, stop it. Let's go back to the topic. Why do people feel they have to murder one another? Can we have that conversation? Because if I want to kill somebody, I don't have to have a gun. I'll figure out a way, slip them a poison. There are too many ways to kill somebody. But the idea is but why would I want to? because that's a stain on my soul, and I'm gonna have to come back a couple of times to get rid of that mess. Sorry, I'm gonna consciously want to kill somebody. Accidentally would be bad enough, but consciously kill somebody that that's not in self-defense or something, nah, I can't even. My brain won't even go there. But how many other people think the same way with me? In that, could you murder somebody? If somebody said that person needs killed, I don't know about that, but now there, I knew someone many years ago who was a pedo, and he'd been seen with kids, and one girl disappeared. No, I don't think they ever found her body, and she used to ride around with this old man, and I had my hands around this man's throat, and I said, if I ever see you with another youngin in your car, I will murder your ass and take you into the swamp so far no one will ever find you, your bones, or where you went. And if you don't think I can do it, test me, old man. And I mean, I was choking him. I was going to kill him on the spot. And Creator said, nah, but you can warn the crap out of him. And he died not too long after that, within a year or so. But he was already in his late 70s, early 80s. So, but the old guy was, he was creepy. But him, I thought about killing because of what he was doing with children and what happened to me as a child with the priests and so forth. So, I ain't going to let this guy get away with it. If they won't put him in jail or we can't get him on, I'll make sure he just disappears. And I don't think God's going to hate me too much for that one. But at the same point, I was making a decision for God, if you will, that was mine, but should I take him out? Yeah, but if he harms another child, if he really did kill that woman that disappeared, that young lady, but does it give me the right to pass judgment? So, when you want to argue with the opposition, just bring up these key points, and not try to, it's not an argument, but put them on the spot with a simple question. Okay, fine. Why is there air? Well, what do you mean? Why is there? It's an old Bill Cosby. It was he did an album, and one of his shticks was, "Why is there air?" Well, to blow up a basketball. I don't know, but anyway, leave the Cosby thing out of it. But back in the day, if you would have told me that Bill Cosby was going to end up being some kind of old man rapist thingy, I'd have said, you're crazy. But for all these years, it's been covered up, and he got his due whatever. And, some would say he's guilty or not. I think he's probably more guilty than not from the stories I've heard. But can I throw the first stone? Nah. Not my place. But we can all share the positive side of things. We're not going to, if somebody really is like that, we're going to turn them in. We're going to call them out. It's not about revenge, but it is about justice. If we go after things with revenge, that don't work in the hereafter, because revenge is a nasty, karmic kind of energy that'll get stuck to you. It's almost like a curse. I mean, seriously, don't seek revenge on somebody. That's a curse. Seriously. But seek justice instead. Them 4 priests that got me, 3 priests particular, did they get their just results? Well, I don't know. I hope so. I hope that my Creator gave them justice for my part and for all the other people that they molested. So, with that, my friends, let me read your last few posts. It's been lovely hanging out with you. Oh, you're right. I might not have been clear. What work on the shelf? Because no, I think I got it, Milk Cow. I was just trying to bring up another. Sometimes people say something and there's a little addendum. I agree with most 99% of what everybody we discuss, but sometimes it's my It's my job to throw in a little caveat there. But have you thought about this extra little piece? So how how about change starts within? Yep. By changing myself, I can better help the people around me and make their lives better. I can't make a positive impact on the world like that if I don't have my own self together. People tend to give up, and that's part of why so much is wrong with the world. Well, one person can't curb your hunger, but you can make a difference in your own world on a smaller scale. You do have influence. The more of us do this, the better the world is. Each of us can improve our own corner of the world. All corners of the world are not that far apart. Everything is connected. Okay, thank you for clarifying. You're fine, and that is true. There's there was someone who thought I was disagreeing with him, and I wrote him back and I said, no, I agree with you 100%. I was playing. Sometimes I have to give the devil's advocate side of this to make folks think for themselves. You know, I have my own spiritual work, so I can't be pointing my finger at you and go, you guys got to do this. Can't do that. But I can ask you the question. And not that you have to answer me, because it's just an out there question. Do you have your collective stuff together? You don't have to prove it to me. It's not for me. But do you have your vibration enough between you and your creator, between you and the other realms, between you and this other life? If you don't believe in any of that, then fine. You've already made your bed. You're going to have to learn. You're going to be in the kiddie pool for a while when you get in the fourth dimension. But the idea, though, that that this is it and nothing else exists, them folks are going to have to go into the kiddie pool. In my previous videos, I've talked about the fourth and dimensionality in like a swimming pool, and those folks just learning how to swim. You don't go get on the high dive when you don't even know how to doggy paddle. You go into the pool on the shallow end in the kiddie pool to get wet, splash around, get the idea of water, learn how to hold your breath without holding your nose, or blah 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 blah. And you learn how to deal with water, and then you learn how to kick, and then you get and jump off the side of the pool, and then you go to the low dive, and then you go to the high dive. Everything is in stages, because you don't want to take an 8-year-old kid and say, do you know how to swim? Nope, never been here before. Okay, climb up that big ladder and walk out there on the end and jump in. So in reality, in moving into the spirit realm, there are people who think they're just going to be able to jump off the high dive right away. And that's just insanity. But for those of us who are understanding that creator, that our energies, the quantum realm, these things are bigger than the box of heaven with the pearly gates, that heaven is the entire universe, seen, unseen, different realm. When you can just say, you know what, I can't answer all those questions, but you know what, by golly, it's so big up there, I gotta believe there's more. That's all you gotta do. Well, are there aliens? I don't know, but man, there's just so much space that there gotta be. Are they landing on Earth? Then let's, we don't have to, but do you just believe that anything in the universe can exist other than you and me? And the answer is yes. It could be a microbe. It could be a talking, walking rock, like a big giant crystal with arms and legs. Who knows? To those of us who understand about crystals and things, crystals have entities. Sometimes some crystals have entire universes in them. I've got this one here, for example, that sits down here by my feet, and I'm going to pick it up and show it to you, because in this one crystal, this thing is huge. It weighs like 25 pounds, 30 pounds. This thing is like huge. This is smoky quartz. And for every one of these big, huge crystals sitting up here and here and here and all these, for every one of these, if you were to sit and just focus on some of these, and this thing is, I mean, it's heavy, So, and does this rock have energy in it? Does this rock have entities in it to other realms and other places and things? You betcha. And this being smoky quartz, smoky quartz, the properties are like, if you want to smoky, thinking like shade, seeing into the cloudiness or whatever. But anybody that's ever picked up this rock and held it has gone, holy crap. Yeah, and this just sits down here on the floor beside me. So, but my point to this is that if you allow yourself to understand, not necessarily that there's anybody living in the rock or that the rock itself is living, but when you pick it up and go, wow, this feels like it's got energy in it. Yeah, it doesn't matter what religion you are. If you pick up a rock and go, wow, this is, are you Baptist? Well, I don't know. Are you Methodist? I don't know. Are you Muslim? Well, I don't know. Did you pick up a rock and felt something? Yeah. There you go. Then you understand that there are other energies in the universe. You don't got to, well, I don't know if they're this or that or blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Did you feel something? Yeah. Wow. And that was weird. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't matter what religion. Not a bit. But it is about spirituality. It is about our souls and our energies and so forth, and how we communicate with the universe. My friends, thank you very much. It's 4:15 here in South Georgia. It's almost 4:20. And yeah, by golly, I got one sitting here. This is a cigarette, but this is my bowl. So I'm going to do a 420 here in a minute. And y'all light them and smoke if you got them, if that's your thing. But my friends and neighbors, keep spreading the good vibes. Keep spreading. It's not about all the little mamby-pambies. It's about the key things. So, my friends, I love you all. I do. Thank you, Milk Cow, you may think you wrote too much. I think you maybe didn't write enough. But you put your heart and your soul out there and you wrote it for other people to see. I appreciate that. I applaud you for it, because our own personal testimonies is important. I listen to you. You listen to me. Why shouldn't I listen to your point of view? That's how I look at it. And everybody's got a point of view. And yeah, we can discuss scripture, blah, blah, blah. But let's stay on the main points, because that's what's going to get us through whatever's going on right now. And we all agree there's some shit going on right now, my friends. We just need to stick together in this. When some relatives of mine up in Dayton, couple of months ago, a tornado went through there, and the whites were helping the blacks and the blacks were helping the whites, where before Antifa and the skinheads had some rallies up there trying to stir up crap between the two sides. After the tornado went through, everybody helped each other. Isn't that strange? Human beings helping other human beings. What a concept. You know what I mean? Blessings, my friends. And may you have a good week. I know this is Monday. This is actually Tuesday morning at 4:17. I'm going to smoke one off camera for y'all when I close off this video, but I'm going to smoke it in y'all's honor and send my prayers up with my tobacco. This is tobacco. I got it in my old little tobacco container here. But I'm going to send up my prayers that all of you will continue to have a great week. Whatever may be stumble blocks for you, that you will be able to stop and look at the situation and allow the answer to come to you. If we expect too much, we'll never get it. I know that there are people, well, I thought when I was going to reach spirituality, they was going to lift me up into the clouds. Well, does your spirit feel lighter? Well, I don't know. Did you try to fix some things? Well, I don't know. Did you feed anybody last week? Well, I don't know. Well, then how can you? Anyway, I'm repeating myself. Close this up with a prayer. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the blessings from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive and share with your relatives, your friends, your neighbors, your family, and all of your relations. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue. You must accept the gifts and the knowledge. receive them and share them with who you meet. It's lovely to be in the chat room with you folks. It's lovely to be able to speak about this. We are making a difference. There are people on the sidelines bitching about this, but they're not bitching like they were. The words have calmed down. Things have gotten a little calmer somehow. There's still a lot of agitation, but folks are starting to pay attention and go, you know what? We've been fed a bunch of bull. So accept and receive the universe, the gifts of the universe, and in the quantum. And I haven't said hi to Bob. Bob, this is for the Bob the AI. Here's coffee and cheers. And it's 1 minute to 4:20. And as some of us say, it's always 4:20 somewhere. So regardless of where you are on the planet, SD Montfort, so true, David. Silent Subber here and watching this, and love to all from Holland. Oh, blessings from Holland. Wow, that's even cooler. So thank you all. Blessings from around the world, sincerely. And I know that you all say a prayer for me. I can feel it. I can tell. I mean, I just kind of like, woo, woo, woo. That's why sometimes when we're all, it's 10:20 a.m. here. Well, it's 4:20 officially here. So anyway, smoke them if you got them. Cosmic hugs to everybody. Keep up the good work. And until next time, I am your humble host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, saying TTFN from here. Be kind, be sweet, be compassionate, and above all, believe in yourself. And we are making a difference. Don't give up, because people are trying to say, well, no, the rapture hadn't happened. No. We're making a difference. So blessings to all of you, continued blessings. Cheers. And when you know what this means, you know what it means. To all of my other angel buddies out there, till next time, adios from here.